The female streamer my husband likes came to me, saying she's in love with him and begging for my pity. I did pity her, so I quickly split our assets, divorced my husband, and personally arranged for them to get their marriage license. At their wedding, I gave her a grand gift. I projected my ex-husband's gastric cancer diagnosis report on the big screen. 1. Shen Yuan and I have been married for 3 years, and our relationship has always been good. So when I saw that photo on my phone of him kissing another woman, I could hardly believe my eyes. I had a friend confirm the photo wasn't doctored, and my heart slowly sank. I dug a little deeper using the phone number from the message, and their WeChat, Weibo, and Douyin accounts all came to light. They were openly flaunting their affection for Shen Yuan up there. Even though Shen Yuan's face was blurred, I recognized him instantly. This is the mistress coming to make a scene at the front door. I spent the entire afternoon watching all of the mistress's videos and reading her Weibo posts. The mistress has built a self-made, inspirational persona, diligently selling snacks online and running her little shop quite successfully. She had been with Shen Yuan for a year. Throughout that year, Shen Yuan often used business trips as an excuse, when in reality, he was off enjoying a private world with her. The two of them traveled all across the country, checking in at countless trendy hotspots. They've tainted the magnificent landscape of our homeland, too. I was feeling terrible. But after glancing at the stomach cancer diagnosis form beside me, suddenly, it didn't seem so bad. Just then, the phone rang. "Sis, you know who I am, right? I'm sorry, I never meant to interfere with your marriage. But I'm pregnant now, I can't let my child grow up without a father. You're the only one who can help me. Please, sis, have a heart, have pity on me." On the phone, she was sobbing pitifully. Sounding fragile and helpless, my low blood pressure was instantly cured. Suppressing my rage, I said calmly, "How can you prove the pregnancy is real? You doubt me. I'll send you the proof right now." After a flurry of activity over there, the pregnancy test results came through. "Sis, look, he already has a little form. I really can't bear to get rid of him. He's a little life too. Shen Yuan doesn't love you anymore. Sis, could you please just let go?" I glanced at the cancer diagnosis report. Don't get angry, as if I'd let the future widow of a dead man off the hook. "Not a chance," I continued. "Then how can you prove the child is Shen Yuan's?" An eerie silence fell on the other end of the line. She had finally dropped the act, and here I was, calling you sister all this time. "Shen Yuan said you were so classy. I never imagined this is what he meant. Believe it or not, that child is Shen Yuan's. If you don't believe me, we can do a paternity test once the baby is born," I replied calmly. "That won't be necessary. The baby won't be here for a long time. It's just awful to saddle a child with the stigma of being illegitimate. His mother made a mistake, but we can't punish him for it. Can we? How about this? Swear an oath. Swear that if the child isn't Shen Yuan's, you'll be hit by a car the moment you step outside. Then I'll believe you." On the other end of the line, there was a sharp intake of breath, followed immediately by a torrent of blistering curses. "Mu Wei, you're the one who should get hit by a car. You bitch, you're the one who refuses to have a child yourself, stringing Shen Yuan along, and now you won't let another woman bear his child. I curse you to be barren for 10 lifetimes. I held the phone a little further away and casually hit the record button. 3. Once the recording was more or less done, I sent it to Shen Yuan. Not long after, Shen Yuan arrived in a hurry. "Vivi, I'm so sorry, I never thought they'd actually come to you. I promise I'll handle this. Just give me a little time. I was under so much pressure back then. My judgment lapsed. I told her not to bother you." He launched into a torrent of explanations. It was clear he had rehearsed these lines countless times in his head, delivering them now without a single stumble. The more I listened, the more horrified I became. If that woman, Jiyu Xiaohan, hadn't been so unwilling to let go, how much longer was he planning to two-time us? And since when is stress a valid excuse for cheating? When I'm stressed, all I get is a face full of zits. I can't listen to this anymore. I cut him off abruptly. "She's pregnant." Shen Yuan opened his mouth, then fell silent. A cold laugh echoed in my heart as I forced out 2 lines of tears. "Shen Yuan, let's part on good terms. Let's get a divorce." 04. I found a lawyer as quickly as possible and, following their advice, began preparing the divorce paperwork and booked a slot in the queue at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I handed the property division agreement to Shin Yuan. The terms of this agreement were actually quite unfavorable to him. Of the 3 properties, I got 2, we each took one of the 2 cars, the cash went to me, as did the funds and stocks. In other words, apart from 1 property and 1 car, he was left with nothing. Honestly, I really wanted him to leave with nothing. But considering how much more complicated that would make things, I had to make some concessions. His lips trembled, his fingers shook, and his eyes grew red. Vivi, I don't want a divorce. I admit I was wrong. Please give me another chance. I'll sort all of this out. The corners of my eyes grew damp. My heart wasn't untouched. It's a shame. But I have my standards. The mere thought of him having a child with Jiyu Xiaohan is unbearable to me. Even if I forced myself to let it go, I'd probably spend every day from now on feeling paranoid and restless. Why should I punish myself for someone else's mistake? Besides, his comeuppance has already arrived. Why should I throw away the rest of my life for him? He's not worth it. Right now, Shin Yuan feels guilty towards me. This is the perfect time to secure my share of the assets. Otherwise, if I forgive him and lower my standards, and we end up divorcing again, he'll just think I'm pulling the same stunt. That little bit of guilt won't be worth a thing then. I lowered my gaze. Do you think I'm asking for too much in the settlement? If it's about the assets, you can just say so. No, it's not about the money. Shin Yuan was quick to profess his devotion. I was the one who messed up. You can have it all. I don't care. I just can't bear to lose you. We've been together for 6 years, 3 dating, 3 married. Fine. If you truly believe the money isn't an issue, then sign the agreement. Shin Yuan, don't cling to me. Don't make me lose all respect for you. I looked into his eyes, my own brimming with tears. It's not just men who can lie, women can, too, especially when love turns to hate. Under the pressure of my gaze, Shin Yuan finally signed the document. His hand trembling. There's still a 30-day cooling-off period. Wei, I'll be waiting for you to change your mind. If you can manage not to contact Jiyu Xiaohan for these 30 days, I'll consider changing my mind. Can you do that? Yes, trust me. Alright then, request leave from work. Let's go on a trip together for a month and come back after that. Deal. Shin Yuan agreed without hesitation and even started discussing with me where to go and booked the tickets. He was clearly on edge all afternoon, distracted and restless. He seemed determined to prove his resolve, yet he was secretly sending messages behind my back. Typical man. At my insistence, he and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau the next day to file for divorce. We just had to wait for the mandatory cooling-off period to end after our trip, and then it would all be settled. We each packed our own luggage. He was overly enthusiastic about it, trying to think of and prepare for every single detail. Just as he was about to walk out the door, the phone rang, and his expression instantly changed. He gritted his teeth and hung up. My phone started ringing. I answered it on purpose, and the caller's voice came through loud and clear. Sister, please, I'm begging you, give Shin Yuan back to me. My stomach hurts so much. I think I'm dying. Jiyu Xiaohan broke down in uncontrollable sobs. Shin Yuan, my stomach is killing me. I took the wrong medicine. Is my baby, is it gone? It hurts so much. Please, you have to help me. Her pleas for help were belied by the strong, steady voice that delivered them. Yet, Shin Yuan believed it. Where are you? Did you call an ambulance? I'm coming right now, in a state of utter panic. He immediately rushed downstairs. I called out to stop him. Shin Yuan. He stopped, his expression unusually grave. Wei, a life is at stake. Don't try to stop me. I gave a bitter smile. Give me back my phone. He was taken aback for a moment. Handing me the phone, he gritted his teeth, turned, and left. Wei, wait for me. I'll be back soon. I'll go and make things clear with her. He stepped into the elevator as his phone rang. This time, he didn't reject the call. Xiao, I'm on my way. Wait for me. Don't be scared. He's so devoted. But it makes me sick. With a cold sneer, I deleted the WeChat moment I had just posted, visible only to Jiyu Xiaohan. Returning to the old haunt, feeling like a teenager again, the accompanying image was a booking confirmation. I never once considered traveling with Shin Yuan to rekindle old feelings. Ever since I found out about his infidelity, he has been completely erased from my life. Well, I didn't want to be the bad guy, so I let Jiyu Xiaohan handle it. She was more than happy to. Anyway, 5. I hired 2 cleaners and had them sort through my things in the room, donating what could be given away and trashing the rest. Then, I walked away, pulling my suitcase behind me without a single glance back. If I'm going to play the part of a heartbroken, disappointed woman, I might as well be resolute about it. That way, Shen Yuan would know just how deeply he had hurt me. After checking into the hotel, it wasn't long before I saw Jiyu Xiaohan's WeChat Moments post. Love truly is the best medicine. You'll never leave me, right? This time, she brazenly captured Shen Yuan's face in perfect clarity. His deep affection, enhanced by the beauty filter, was particularly moving. I saved the picture. These will be my evidence for claiming the moral high ground later. Let's see if Jiyu Xiaohan can still show off then. 3 days later, Shen Yuansai just called me. I hung up. He was relentless. Calls, voice messages, video calls, he tried them all. It seems he's trying to prove he's not the type to abandon the old for the new, or to be fickle and heartless. He has a strong need for attention and is prone to self-indulgent sentimentality. I'm only now realizing these flaws of his. If you truly cared, you'd exercise self-restraint and hold fast to your moral principles. He sent a voice message. Vivi, where are you? Have you left? I know you're angry, but this is a matter of life and death. Please, try to understand, Vivi. I know you have the kindest heart. Let me come find you. How about we go on a trip together? I looked at the message and laughed. Looks like Jiyu Xiaohan isn't up to the task. He only managed to keep Shen Yuan for 3 days. To spite Jiyu Xiaohan and to make Shen Yuan understand the pain he caused me so he wouldn't lie sick in bed someday thinking of me, I decided to see him one last time. Ideally, we'd go our separate ways for good. I chose a cozy cafe we used to frequent. He rushed over and, upon seeing me, looked ready to lunge at me. I picked up a cup of coffee and made as if to throw it. He stopped in his tracks, his expression changing. Vivi, don't call me Vivi, call me Mue. What did you promise me 3 days ago? Vivi, I've already explained, it was a matter of life and death. I thought you'd understand. I understand. No, I don't understand. I'm so tempted to crack his skull open and pour the water out of it. She's okay, right? Shen Yuan fell silent. The more I watched his expression, the more alarmed I became. He's not blind. He must have realized Jiyu Xiaohan was doing it on purpose. It's just that he relished being adored so desperately by a woman. He even enjoyed the process of 2 women vying for his affection, which gave him a tremendous sense of accomplishment. I've known him for so long, and I never realized he had such backward, feudalistic ideas in his head. It seems I need to do some soul-searching myself. You confessed your feelings to me right here. Ending things in the same place feels like coming full circle. I took the ring off my finger and handed it to him. His eyes reddened, and he suddenly became emotional. Vivi, everyone makes mistakes. Why are you holding on to this one slip-up of mine? I've already told her. I won't bother you again. Then what's this? I zoomed in on Jiyu Xiaohan's social media photo and showed it to him. His face went pale. Your persuasion was useless, wasn't it? Do you know what hurts me the most? It's that a single call from her can make you leave. You chose her over me. When you ran to her, did you ever think about how much it would hurt me to be abandoned like that? Did you ever consider that you were slowly eroding my trust in you? Can you honestly promise that something like this won't happen again? Today it's her stomachache, tomorrow her headache, and the day after, it'll be something else. Who will you choose then? I watched him in silence, leaving no room for pretense. His face went pale. I would choose you. Then let's give it a try. I stood next to Shen Yuan, took a photo with him, and sent it to Jiyu Xiaohan. Sure enough, 3 seconds later, Shen Yuan's phone rang. Shen Yuan, his face ashen, moved to hang up. I said coldly, answer it, Vivi. Don't be like this. There's no need. Then I'm leaving. I'll get it. He grabbed my wrist, quickly answered the call. His face a mask of refusal, but on the other end of the line came a panicked voice. Shen Yuan, I'm bleeding. Down there, I'm bleeding. My stomach hurts so much. She just sent me a photo, and I got so angry when I saw it. It hurts. It hurts so much. Her voice sounded absolutely wretched. Shen Yuan suddenly turned his anger on me. Mu Wei, why would you do this? I just managed to calm her down. I was stunned. This was the outcome I wanted. To prevent him from clinging to me from a sickbed in the future. But right now, I was genuinely hurt. I said coldly, Once the cooling off period is over, we'll meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Go take care of your true love. 6. For many days that followed, Shen Yuan remained as still and silent as a corpse. My initial flicker of sadness gradually faded, giving way to a complete and detached indifference. I never imagined our marriage would come to this. Jiyu Xiaohan's social media feed has been completely silent. I don't know if Shen Yuan strictly forbade her from posting, or if she simply didn't want to provoke me and risk things changing. Either way, there's finally some peace and quiet. On the 29th day, I sent Shen Yuan a message. I'll be waiting for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance tomorrow at 9:00 a.m. The reply came quickly. Don't worry, sis, Yuan will definitely be there. I let out a cold laugh, drank a bottle of calming syrup, and slept soundly until dawn. Early the next morning, I put on a nice face of makeup and drove to the Civil Affairs Bureau. When I arrived, Shen Yuan was already there. Standing beside him was a long-haired girl in a white shirt. The two of them were laughing and joking around. Shen Yuan looked utterly smitten. The girl playfully pounded her little fists against his chest, then planted a loud, smacking kiss on his cheek. When her eyes met mine, a provocative smirk flashed across her face, but as I approached, her expression instantly melted into one of timid, delicate dependence, as if she were a fragile little bird. What an actress! Who does she think she is? I averted my gaze and looked back at Shen Yuan. Got everything, let's go. Shen Yuan's face showed a hint of guilt. Wei, I'm sorry, it's Wei, thank you. His face registered shock, then turned pale. I went in first, and he followed. The agreement was already drafted, with no points of contention, so we completed the formalities quickly. After receiving the divorce certificate, I was filled with a deep sense of reflection. Marriage certificates are red, and so are divorce certificates. The person issuing them really sees things clearly. Both marriage and divorce are, in fact, good things. Break free from the past and start a new life. However you look at it, it's like a rebirth. Shen Yuan's guilt grew heavier. Wei, she's pregnant. An abortion would be bad for her health. Mr. Shen, there's no need to explain so much to me. We're strangers now. I cut him off. Still, for old time's sake, I feel I have to say this to you. In this matter, you are the one who is wrong. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't have cheated on me while we were married. If you truly loved her, you wouldn't have kept her hidden in the shadows. Since I've already made room for you, I wish you all the best in the future. That's all I have to say. Let's not see each other again. I delivered those words with such grace and poise that the people around me in the office looked at me with clear admiration. Their admiration was more than I could bear. I'm a firm believer in repaying kindness and settling scores. To be betrayed by the one you share a bed with, frankly, I wish the grass on his grave would wither too. Shen Yuan hadn't expected me to say that, and his guilt deepened. He took a step forward, intending to take my hand. I'm utterly disgusted. I never knew he could be so clingy. I must have been blind back then. Fortunately, Jiyu Xiaohan immediately followed in and firmly linked arms with Shen Yuan, saying with a laugh, "Thank you for your blessing, sister. In that case, I'll just go get the marriage certificate with him today. After all, the baby in my belly can't wait any longer. Also, in order to make it up to you, Yuan has given you the majority of his assets. I hope you can use that money to live well from now on." Sister, she was hinting, both overtly and covertly, that Shen Yuan was being magnanimous, while I was the greedy one. I laughed. Well, congratulations to you both. All the assets Shen Yuan and I have were earned together during our marriage. There's no question of him letting me have them. I didn't force him to leave with nothing. I'm the one being generous. I hear Miss Goose Shop is doing quite well, but as an influencer, your income depends on your fans. I wonder how they'd feel if they knew you're the other woman, hurling abuse at the lawful wife. Jiyu Xiaohan stared wide-eyed, biting her lip, looking utterly pitiful. But she must have been genuinely afraid I'd make a scene, because she didn't even try to argue back. She just whimpered pitifully a couple of times. That big idiot Shen Yuan actually stepped up to defend her. Wei, I was the one who pursued Xiao. I'm the one who wronged you. If you have a problem, take it up with me. You really mean I should take it up with you? I let out a cold laugh and slapped him across the face. How about this? 07. Shen Yuan was stunned by the blow. I guess I was too calm and restrained before, which made him think I wouldn't do anything. But now, With the divorce papers in hand, what do I have to fear from him pestering me? The only reason I didn't kill him is because I'm a law-abiding citizen, not because I have a good temper. This slap is for your affair during our marriage. You owed me that. Slap. That slap was for her. You disgust me just as much as she does. I'm being merciful by not making a scene and letting you both off the hook. I wanted to hit him again. Shen Yuan grabbed my right hand, his gaze icy and his face contorted with hatred. Enough. Smack. I slapped him with my left hand. Shen Yuan was completely stunned. Ji Xiaohan let out a scream. Are you insane? What is wrong with you? She hurriedly pulled Shen Yuan back. The staff rushed over as well, quickly separating us. I pointed a finger right at Shen Yuan's face and shouted angrily, Shen Yuan, even a clay Buddha has a temper. When we were together, it was you who said you didn't want children for now. It was you who wanted it to be just the two of us. And now you're telling me she's pregnant, that you want a divorce. You're the one who's gone back on your word. You're the one who's ungrateful. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. If you dare bother me again, don't blame me for turning on you. Those 3 slaps wiped out every last shred of affection I ever had for him. Shen Yuan's face darkened with fury, utterly humiliated in front of everyone. I was going to spare you some dignity and wait a while before Xiao Xiao and I got our marriage license and held the wedding. But you've gone too far. Xiao Xiao, let's go get our marriage license. Ji Xiaohan stroked Shen Yuan's face with a pained expression, sneering coldly. You should be thankful that Yuan is a decent man who doesn't hit women, or you'd be finished today. I laughed too. I have no chivalry, I hit women. Want to give it a try? I'll kick you so hard you'll need an abortion. Ji Xiaohan turned pale with fright. Shen Yuan shot me a fierce glare. You're not even fit to hold a candle to Xiao Xiao. Looking back now, divorcing you was the right call. He took Ji Xiaohan's hand and headed straight for the marriage registration office without a backward glance. Me, is this jerk taking a dig at me? Ha, let's see if his precious Xiao Xiao will still be the picture-perfect, dutiful wife when he's sick and bedridden. A few minutes later, Ji Xiaohan deliberately sent me a photo of her marriage certificate. I let out a cold laugh, blocked both her and Shen Yuan, and felt a wave of immense relief. Excellent, the plan is more than halfway complete. The remaining half depends entirely on when they decide to hold the wedding. Shen Yuan despises me, and Ji Xiaohan is so vain. The two of them are bound to throw a lavish wedding ceremony. Sure enough, it wasn't long before friends and relatives started calling me one after another, all bewildered, asking me why on earth I had divorced Shen Yuan. In their minds, Shen Yuan and I are still the picture-perfect, loving couple. I didn't mind the hassle. I told each and every one of them that Shen Yuan had been cheating for a year, and that Ji Xiaohan had shown up at my door, demanding I sign the divorce papers. I answered every single call and repeated the same story to each person. When I got to the emotional parts, I'd even shed a few heartbroken tears. Upon hearing this, the tone in the room instantly shifted, becoming subtly charged. Vivi, you're such a sensible girl. You poor thing, having to put up with this. You can say that again. I've been absolutely miserable. Later, Shen Yuan's call never came, but his parents did. Wei, regarding your divorce, you got the lion's share. Yuan was in the wrong, so we won't say much more about that. However, you should stop telling everyone about our Yuan's faults. It's not good for his reputation. Know when to show mercy. Don't push things too far. 8. I felt a surge of bitter resentment welling up inside me, as if all my genuine sincerity had been thrown to the dogs. I've been married to Shen Yuan for 3 years, and I've truly treated his parents as my own, caring for them with filial piety. Whenever I buy something, I always get 3 of it, 1 for myself, 1 for my parents, and 1 for Shen Yuan's parents. Not a single holiday gift or red envelope was ever missed. Shen Yuan couldn't even remember his own parents' birthdays. It was always me reminding him to send his wishes and red envelopes. When his parents were ill, I was the one running around, fetching things, and arranging for caregivers to look after them meticulously. Back then, they vowed solemnly, if Yuan ever wrongs you, we'll be the first to make him pay for it. But now, they're putting family ties before reason. Ha, uncle, aunt, if I'm lying, you can sue me for slander. If I'm telling the truth, you have no right to stop me. The person who did this isn't ashamed, so I doubt they're afraid of people talking. My voice was icy. and they were getting frantic on the other end. How can you say that? You divorced Ayuan behind our backs and swindled a fortune out of him. That money was hush money. How dare you stand there and criticize us? And another thing, you dated for 3 years, were married for 3 years, 6 years total, and never had a child. Do you have any idea what people are saying about us? They say we brought home an ancestor to worship. If you were any good, Ayuan would never have divorced you. A woman needs to be virtuous, gentle, and well-behaved if she wants a man to love her. Over there, the tirade about traditional female virtues just kept on flowing. Well, I must have picked my in-laws from a lineup of feudal relics. I hit record, set the phone a bit further away, and by the time it had completely stopped ringing, it had already recorded for 7 or 8 minutes. I sent the recording to a friend to help me edit out the key parts, saving it for future use. After listening, my friend replied straight away, "You're too soft. Why didn't you just beat the whole lot of them to a pulp?" I laughed. Why kill them? Keep them around to be moved by each other and love one another. 9. Shen Yuan held his wedding at the best hotel in our city. According to our mutual friends, Shen Yuan told them that Jiyu Xiaohan is famous, beautiful, successful, wealthy, and willing to focus on family life. He said a wife this perfect is impossible to find, so he wanted to give her the very best. It sounds like a truly deep and devoted love. Well, the new love certainly outshines the old, doesn't it? On the wedding day, I went to the hotel. It was truly so much more romantic and grand than the wedding we had together back then. Back then, Shen Yuan and I were deeply in love. We didn't fuss over such things and approached everything with a practical mindset. We believed the ceremony wasn't important. What mattered was the genuine feeling between us. If I could go back in time, I'd give myself a good hard slap. Serves you right for being soft on a man, for trying to save him money. I slipped on a pair of oversized sunglasses, found a quiet corner to sit in, and managed to avoid drawing any attention. Soon enough, the moment arrived. Under the officiant's guidance, Shen Yuan and Jiyu Xiaohan proceeded through the ceremony step by step. Jiyu Xiaohan's belly was quite prominent, making her pristine wedding gown look a bit bulky, yet she was positively glowing, radiant with joy, the very picture of a blissful bride. Shen Yuan, perhaps rejuvenated by his beloved wife, seemed to radiate a newfound handsomeness and charm. As they exchanged words of gratitude, their wedding photos appeared on the big screen at just the right moment, but soon, the photos froze, and the screen was replaced by a gastric cancer diagnosis report. The name Shen Yuan was clearly printed on the document. 10. Everyone was stunned. Those who had been eating with their heads down immediately looked up, letting out sounds of astonishment. The entire hall erupted into a clamor. The groom has cancer. Is this diagnosis report real or fake? Does the bride know? If she doesn't, this is marriage fraud. Jiyu Xiaohan followed the crowd's gaze to the cancer diagnosis report displayed on the large screen. Her expression changed abruptly, her face instantly darkening. Shen Yuan was speaking with heartfelt emotion, his back to the screen. But soon, he snapped back to reality. Turning around and seeing the diagnosis report, a whirlwind of emotions played out across his face. Cancer. Panic set in. It's fake. This has to be fake. Someone is spreading rumors. Get this off the stage. Now, the scene instantly descended into chaos. Someone rushed backstage to see what was happening. Shen Yuan's parents were at a complete loss, utterly unable to believe it. Jiyu Xiaohan's parents shielded their daughter, their faces contorted with anger, as if they had completely forgotten how they had been singing the praises of their wonderful son-in-law just moments before. The scene descended into utter chaos. I stood up and slipped out in the ensuing confusion. Later, I heard from friends who were there that although the wedding ceremony limped on, the bride and groom were clearly not fully present. The two of them forced smiles, the distance between them palpable, a clear sign of growing suspicion. After the wedding, Shen Yuan and Jiyu Xiaohan didn't even get a chance for the customary wedding night festivities before heading straight to the hospital together. The final outcome, of course, went without saying. Shen Yuan really did have stomach cancer. He was admitted to the hospital immediately, while Jiyu Xiaohan returned to her own residence. The marital home they never spent a single night in had already become a place of cold neglect. That evening, while I was having hot pot with friends, an unknown number called. The moment the person on the other end spoke, I recognized Shen Yuan's voice. He demanded furiously, "Was it you who sabotaged my wedding?" I laughed. "Who are you?" There was a moment of silence on the other end, followed by a voice seething with rage. "My name is Shen Yuan." Bang! I hung up the phone. The other party kept calling back persistently, so I blocked the number and went back to eating my hot pot. But in the end, it just didn't feel right. The day I received the gastric cancer diagnosis, my heart was truly heavy. I spent the entire morning researching information about gastric cancer, hoping to find a way to break the news to Shen Yuan that wouldn't crush his hope. I even estimated the treatment costs and considered putting the house up for sale right then to prepare for what was ahead. But in the end, it was me who lost all hope. His infidelity completely extinguished any pity I had left for him. Why on earth would I worry about a cheater? I must be out of my mind. Now that he knows, I wonder what he's thinking. Maybe he feels like it's karma. The phone had only just gone quiet when it rang again. It was Jiyu Xiaohan. Her voice was laced with venom, dripping with deep-seated hatred. "Mu Wei, you bitch. You set me up on purpose. You hit Shen Yuan on purpose, forcing him to marry me early just to get back at you. You're so vicious." Now I was getting fired up. I cleared my throat with an affected, theatrical air. "Mrs. Shen, congratulations on your wedding. I don't understand a word you're saying, but one must learn to be grateful. There aren't many original wives left in this world who would graciously step aside and let the other woman take their place. You owe me a thank you." Jiyu Xiaohan was furious. "Screw you. You just wait. You set me up like this, and I'm not letting this go. You'll get what's coming to you, Mrs. Shen." I cut her off, deliberately emphasizing those 3 words. "You fought tooth and nail for this status. And now what? Now that you've got what you wanted, you're just going to kick the ladder away. That's a pretty lousy way to treat someone. Besides, you were the one who made a fuss about your stomachache and insisted Shen Yuan stay with you. Now that your stomach's fine and you don't need your painkiller Shen Yuan anymore, you just want to dump him. Do you think the world revolves around you?" I hung up the phone and blocked Jiyu Xiaohan for good measure, but I never could have imagined Shen Yuan's parents would come to my workplace. They had been waiting downstairs since early morning, and the moment they saw me, they rushed out. "Mu Wei, did you know all along that Yuan was sick? Did you divorce him on purpose to swindle him out of his house and car? How can someone so young be so cruel? Give the apartment back now, or we'll make a scene." 11. They were making such a commotion that a crowd had gathered. Among them were several of my colleagues. A few colleagues quickly stepped in to separate me from them, preventing a potential confrontation. Some tried to calm them down, saying it was too early in the morning for a scene, but they just got more worked up, loudly telling everyone about the terrible thing I had done. Other colleagues were quietly comforting me, urging me to go up to the office building first. I shook my head. You can be a thief for 1,000 days, but you can't stay on guard for 1,000. It's impossible to be constantly vigilant. They're bound to cause trouble sooner or later. The only way to make sure they never dare come back is to make them afraid. I started fiddling with my phone and connected it to the Bluetooth speaker I always carry with me. I made a point of buying one with a really loud volume, so even during an argument, I wouldn't have to worry about my voice being drowned out. Soon, the sound coming from the speakers left everyone stunned. "Vivi, dear, Yuan just had a little affair. All men stray eventually. Why is it that you, of all people, can't accept it? Back in the old days, men had multiple wives and concubines. Whoever made as big a fuss as you're making now, stop bad-mouthing our Yuan from now on. That house was your hush money. Don't be so bitter just because others are doing well. That girl Xiao Xiao is quite decent. She's willing to have a child for our Yuan even before the wedding. Now look at you. No in-laws would want a hen that doesn't lay eggs. Stop clinging to Yuan. Don't interfere with that couple's relationship, Mr. and Mrs. Shen flushed crimson with a mixture of fury and shame. I couldn't help but laugh. So they did have a sense of shame. So they knew how ugly their words sounded. Back then, they were probably quite smug, thinking their son was capable for marrying someone better. That's why they turned a blind eye to all the kindness I showed them, able to prioritize family ties over reason without a shred of guilt. Now that they know Jiyu Xiaohan is unreliable, they feel they got the short end of the stick by giving me the apartment. How could they possibly have their cake and eat it too? I turned off the speaker and said flatly, You came to make a scene at my company today. Later, I'll return the favor by playing an announcement at the entrance of your neighborhood. We know each other inside and out. You can bully me, but don't expect any sentimentality from me in return. Shen Yuan and I are divorced. I have nothing to do with him anymore. If you're looking for someone, you should go find Jiyu Xiaohan. You just had the wedding. How could you forget you've got a new daughter-in-law? Isn't she the perfect one you always wanted? Mr. and Mrs. Shen were frantic. They had lived their whole lives in this place, where saving face and avoiding shame were paramount. Muwei, if you dare cause a scene in our neighborhood, we'll call the police. The room erupted in laughter. How shameless can you be? When you come to someone's workplace to make trouble, you're so self-righteous, not caring at all if you cost them their job, so you can't handle it when someone treats you the same way. Mr. and Mrs. Shen slunk away, their eyes filled with fear as they looked at me. My colleagues all advised me to let it go and not stoop to their level, but I thought about it. If a wolf comes, and you don't put it down for good, it will just come back again. You have to make it hurt for it to learn fear. So I hired a few people. They stood at the east, west, south, and north gates of their residential compound, using loudspeakers to broadcast the very words they had said. I heard that while Mr. and Mrs. Shen were busy dealing with the east gate, the west gate started blaring. No sooner had we rushed to the west gate than the commotion started up again at the south gate. They took shelter inside the house and called the police. When the police arrived, I showed them the video my colleague had taken of them causing a scene in front of my office building. The police officer could only laugh in exasperation. This is a classic case of the magistrates are free to burn down houses, while the common people are forbidden even to light lamps. In the end, they just gave everyone a stern talking to and let it go at that. After leaving the police station, I looked at them calmly and said, I have the money and the time now. If you want to keep causing trouble, I can quit my job and be with you every step of the way. But I wonder if you'll even have the time to take care of Shen Yuan then. If you just think clearly, you'd realize the priority now is getting Shen Yuan treatment and keeping Jiyu Xiaohan calm. Your precious daughter-in-law might not be so willing to have Shen Yuan's child anymore. 12. Their expressions shifted dramatically. And with a heavy thud, they both dropped to their knees. Weiwei, please, have pity on us. If you don't give the house back, Yuan won't have money for his treatment, and Jiyu Xiaohan refuses to have a child. Jiyu Xiaohan says she'll only agree to have a baby once we get the house back and prove we can afford to raise a child. Could you at least give back one of the apartments? I need to sell it to pay for Yuan's treatment and save some money to raise the child. We were wrong before. We went too far. Please, for the sake of our old age, help us. From now on, Uncle and Aunt will treat you as our lifesaver. Trying to guilt-trip me. Too bad. I have no morals. No one can guilt-trip me. I took a step back, hiding behind the police officer, and casually turned on the stereo. This time, I played the abridged version. Vivi, dear, in ancient times, a man could have multiple wives and concubines. You useless hen, the house is your hush money. The police officer couldn't help it and let out a snort of laughter. The two of them scrambled to their feet, shot me a venomous glare, and slunk away. I stared at their retreating backs, utterly disgusted. So it was Jiyu Xiaohan pulling the strings behind the scenes, that little snake, hiding in the back, letting others take the heat. Ha, you're nothing special, but you sure dream big. I removed Jiyu Xiaohan and Shen Yuan from my block list. I sent each of them a copy of today's police report receipt. And I also sent Shen Yuan a recording of his parents screaming abuse at me. I sent a message, Mr. Shen, would you like me to broadcast today's events to my entire social circle? Shen Yuan's call came through almost immediately. Vivi, his voice was hoarse and sounded weak. He must have been through a lot lately. Shen Yuan has had stomach problems since college, so I was always careful about his diet before. All this past year, under the guise of business trips, he and Jiyu Xiaohan traveled all over the country, indulging in food and drink without restraint, yet he'd still call me, whining about how overworked he was and how it was giving him stomachaches. I felt so sorry for him back then, urging him to come home and get a gastroscopy as soon as possible. Looking back now, I was such a fool. That bastard was basking in my care and worry while getting cozy with his mistress on the side. At that thought, any trace of sympathy vanished instantly. I let out a derisive snort. Shen Yuan, How are we going to resolve today's matter? Shen Yuan fell silent for a moment. I'll talk to my parents. They won't bother you again. Don't agree so easily. I suggest you discuss this with Mrs. Shen. She says she'll only agree to have a child for you if I give the house back. Is she carrying my child? Or has she lost her voice? Or are you just thrilled to have your own parents used as pawns? I understand. This won't happen again, for once. Shen Yuan did not speak up in Jiyu Xiaohan's defense. It seems their relationship has hit a rough patch recently. A pair of self-serving individuals. When their interests aren't threatened, they'll stand united against outsiders, but cross them, and the knives come out. But, what's that got to do with me? Shen Yuan was still trying to say something, but I had already hung up the phone, and then, a reply from Jiyu Xiaohan appeared on my phone. Mu Wei. It's your fault that Yuan has no money for treatment now. When he dies, his ghost will haunt you forever. Now, I have no money to raise my child either. If I have to get an abortion, that life will be on your conscience too. You even called the police on your own child's grandparents. There's no one in this world more heartless than you. You'll get what's coming to you. 13. Reading those lines made my blood boil and my eyelids twitch. I wonder how Shen Yuan would feel if he knew Jiyu Xiaohan was cursing him like that. I replied to the message quickly. No way, no way. A big-time influencer with 100k followers can't afford to raise a child. Do you need me to make a video to help you raise funds? Brother Yuan is such a good guy. Even though he has cancer, you should learn to cherish him. You should spare no expense to get your brother treated. Otherwise, how can you live up to your inspirational persona? I'm so jealous of you and Yuan looking like such a perfect couple. Not like me, I'll probably never get cancer in this lifetime. Yuan's parents even knelt down for the sake of the baby in your belly. You must be incredibly filial for them to be so attached to you. I've already gotten my comeuppance. I counted the money in my bank account today and actually burst into tears. How am I ever going to spend all this? Even though you stole my Yuan, I'm not bitter, as long as you're happy. Your love truly conquers all. I'm going to keep sending them. A huge exclamation mark popped up. Jiyu Xiaohan has blocked me. What a loser. You can't even fight, yet you're trying to pick a fight. You idiot. The following days were uneventful. Maybe my love life's a mess. But my career is on fire. I actually got a promotion and a raise. Before my old boss got promoted himself, he put me up for advancement. He said I'm bold, decisive, full of ideas, and that the company needs people with initiative like me. I thought about it carefully and figured he was probably referring to that time I stood my ground against Shen Yuan's parents. After 6 years of diligent work, I got a promotion and a raise because of a complete farce. I never in my wildest dreams thought it would happen like this. While reviewing the handover documents, I was shocked to find Jiyu Xiaohan's name on the company's list of live streaming sales hosts. That's when I found out Jiyu Xiaohan not only runs her own online store but also works as a live streaming sales host. I let out a cold laugh and said to my assistant, "Get rid of her." Why? Trust me, she's a ticking time bomb. We can't let her bring the company down when she blows. My assistant's expression turned serious, and she immediately set about handling the termination. Soon after, Jiyu Xiaohan called my office. Her tone was cautious, laced with an attempt to please. "Hello, I was wondering if you could tell me why you're terminating the contract. If there's anything I haven't done well enough, please let me know. I'll do everything I can to make it right." How strange. Since when does Jiyu Xiaohan speak in such a fawning tone? I replied flatly. My secretary should have explained this to you. We'll reconsider working with you once you reach 1 million followers. I hung up the phone, not wanting to waste another word on her, but Jiyu Xiaohan had probably recognized my voice. She sent me a message saying, "Is that you?" I blocked her. That wretch isn't worthy of speaking to Her Highness. However, that evening, my secretary frantically called me. "Boss Mu, look, that Jiyu Xiaohan is live streaming. She's throwing shade at us." I opened the video and, sure enough, saw Jiyu Xiaohan pitifully shedding tears in front of the screen. "Hey everyone, do you know what I've been through lately? I was tricked into a marriage. My husband hid the fact he was already married and lied to me, saying he was single. He even had cancer, and he didn't tell me until after we got our marriage certificate. Why did he and his ex-wife team up to deceive me? I was so good to him. His ex-wife went for the kill, too. She got my endorsement contract cancelled. How am I supposed to live now? How am I supposed to raise my child? Ji Xiaohan wept pitifully. Enhanced by the beauty filter, her originally delicate features became utterly heart-wrenching and pitiable. She dabbed at her tears with great care, not smudging a bit of her makeup. Countless viewers in the live stream chat expressed their sympathy for her. This is marriage fraud, it's utterly despicable. Could it be they saw you making money as a streamer and wanted to scam you to pay for that guy's medical treatment? It's very likely. Just give us the contact info for that scumbag and that bitch, and we'll look into it for you. Which company is it? We'll never buy their products again. Poor streamer. You shouldn't cry like that when you're pregnant, it's bad for your eyes. Many people were outraged, but a jarring comment scrolled across the screen. This bitch is back fishing for sympathy. Give me my damn money back. Now, I sent that person a friend request. They replied with just a question mark. You want me to shut up? If you want me to keep quiet, it'll cost you 300,000. Don't you dare short me a single cent. I laughed. No, I'm the vicious ex-wife she mentioned. Hey there, tough luck. Let's start over. I'm Lu Lin, that little brat's creditor. It was only after talking to Lu Lin that I found out. When Ji Xiaohan first started her online store, she was completely broke and couldn't afford inventory. Lu Lin saw her potential and supplied her with a batch of goods. The product quality was good, and the word of mouth was decent, but for some reason, not long after, a large number of people started returning their purchases. She's always run an honest business, so she dutifully processed the refund. Later, upon re-examining the returned goods, she realized they weren't the same batch she had shipped out. The packaging was identical, but the contents had been swapped for inferior products. The person behind this scheme was Ji Xiaohan, who had ordered a batch of substandard goods to return to her, pocketing the money for the genuine products. In the end, she ended up losing 300,000 yuan. Meanwhile, Ji Xiaohan used this very situation to launch her career, amassing a huge following. She took Ji Xiaohan to court over it. But gathering evidence was difficult and the process dragged on for a long time. She realized that, aside from occasionally making life difficult for Ji Xiaohan, she had no other recourse. What happened with Lu Lin served as a wake-up call for me. After a careful analysis of Ji Xiaohan's sales figures, I found she's quite adept at self-promotion, having hired a lot of fake reviewers to boost her ratings. The actual sales volume is negligible. I suppose that's why she latched onto Shen Yuan. She probably knows she doesn't have much talent for sales, her professional skills are mediocre, and her career as a live streaming host isn't going anywhere. Having stumbled upon a catch like Shen Yuan, young and pulling in $1 million a year, she naturally wasn't about to let go. She decisively used pregnancy to tie him down, and that fool Shen Yuan is probably still smug, thinking he's so charming that a young, pretty girl would throw herself at him. I let out a cold laugh and sent Shen Yuan the livestream video of Ji Xiaohan. I wonder what he thought after watching it. Shen Yuan called me back almost immediately. The moment he spoke, a wave of nostalgia washed over me. Wei, I've missed you. Hearing that didn't move me in the slightest. In fact, it made me sick. I heard Shen Yuan has been staying in the hospital and can't work. His former vice president position has already been taken by someone else. And his parents are selling their house to pay for his treatment. But cancer is a bottomless pit. You can throw hundreds of thousands into it and still have no idea how it will turn out. When he says he misses me now, what he probably misses is my money. I let out a cold, mocking laugh. How do you explain Ji Xiaohan's video? He remained silent for a long moment before finally speaking. Wei, I might really be dying. The child in Ji Xiaohan's womb is the only thing left in this world that my parents can hold on to. I understand. Ji Xiaohan used the child in her womb as leverage to force Shen Yuan and his parents to keep silent. She can twist the truth however she pleases. Shen Yuan continued. Wei, give that document to Ji Xiaohan. She's just a young woman, and she's had a hard time. If you can let bygones be bygones, I'll give you my last property as well. Also, could you let her go? For the sake of our past, could you do this one last thing for me? Please, I was so angry I could only laugh. You've ruined your own reputation for the sake of the child in her belly, and now you want me to be branded as the vindictive ex-wife. There was a long silence on the other end. In that moment, my heart turned utterly cold and filled with hatred. I thought I had been thorough enough, But now I see it's nowhere near sufficient. That despicable pair is trying to pin the blame on me. They're dreaming. I took a deep breath, my voice icy and laced with venom. Shen Yuan, out of respect for our past as husband and wife, I was willing to let you and Jiyu Xiaohan off the hook. As long as Jiyu Xiaohan behaved herself and left me alone, I wouldn't have touched her, but you brought this on yourself. Let me make this perfectly clear, with her mediocre sales influence, Jiyu Xiaohan is utterly unqualified to promote our company's products. The only reason we used her before was for her follower count. Now that I know her character is flawed, a walking liability, continuing to work with her would be irresponsible. Just you wait, if I don't make you too, that scumbag and that slut, reap what you've sown. My name isn't Mu, and you deserve to die. I hope you die soon and get reborn quickly, so you can snag a prime spot in the animal realm down in the underworld. I hung up the phone and began to execute my plan for revenge, in an attempt to prove her innocence. Jiyu Xiaohan deleted all of her videos, but on the very day she first contacted me, I had already paid someone to record all of her videos. I enlisted a friend who knows video editing, and we put together a few concise, punchy clips following the timeline of events. We added text commentary to clearly lay out the whole story from start to finish. The compilation also included the chat screenshots she sent me, her boastful couple photos, audio recordings of her insults, and videos of her inciting Shen Yuan's parents to come and hassle me. By the time all this was wrapped up, 3 days had already passed. For the past 3 days, the news story about a malicious couple conspiring to trick a female streamer into marriage to fund the husband's cancer treatment has been everywhere. Someone interviewed Shen Yuan's parents. Shen Yuan's parents accepted all the false accusations leveled against them and didn't utter a single word in my defense. They just kept repeating, "The child is innocent. We hope Xiao Xiao doesn't play games with her own health." Vicious text messages kept flooding my phone, so I had to turn it off and get a new number. Someone even called my company, trying to get me fired. Jiyu Xiaohan also had someone call the company, his tone dripping with smug satisfaction. "Our Xiaohan is still very willing to promote your company's products. However, we are now raising our rates during the live sales process. We will explain everything clearly and ensure your company is kept out of any potential issues. However, we will no longer be able to coordinate with Mu Wei's team going forward. We hope your company can understand this." The company replied, "We'll think about it." That thinking about it, of course, meant they were considering whether to fire me. But after all, I've been with the company for 6 years. What happened to me was seen by everyone, and the reasons are known to all. If the company compromises, it's understandable, but it will inevitably lose the trust and support of its people. Fortunately, my former boss was promoted to vice president of the company. I went to see him right away and laid out my entire counterattack plan. The old boss listened with a beaming smile. He said with grave sincerity, "Vivi, that's a rather ruthless move. You mustn't go soft when the time comes." I let out a bitter laugh. "Don't worry, if I show any mercy, my name isn't Mu. And if I still can't win even with this, I'll take full responsibility myself. The company's reputation won't suffer." The old boss was quite pleased. "Good. You're not being love-struck. If we're going to do this, let's go big." Just as the buzz around this matter reached its peak, my counterattack video dropped. The company saw this as a prime opportunity for hype. They reached out to several expose bloggers, got the video out there, and even covered all my promotional expenses. On top of that, the company hired a team to register over 200 video accounts overnight, all dedicated to posting this same video. This overwhelming wave of video promotion has generated far more buzz than Jiyu Xiaohan's videos ever did. The follower count on the video channel skyrocketed. At the end of each video, I added a line, "I'm grateful to the company leadership for not believing the rumors and for placing their full trust in me. A company like this has my loyalty forever. What about your company? Would it stand by you and trust you if you face difficulties?" This sentiment seems to have struck a chord with a lot of people. After venting about scumbags and toxic people, countless users started sharing stories about how their companies kicked them when they were down. This stark contrast immediately threw the company's behavior into sharp relief. I went from a nobody to an overnight sensation, with countless people demanding I come forward and address the situation directly. After discussing it with the company, We decided to go live as well. In the first half of the live stream, I explained my situation. I didn't embellish it, but presented it plainly and straightforwardly, focusing on sincerity. Afterwards, I began promoting our company's products. I didn't talk about the product features. Instead, I told them, the poet lovedI once wrote, "Why prize bells and tripods of jade, if you were fortunate enough to live in our time and taste such a bounty of delicious food?" He might have written, "Fuyao's delicacies are worth 10,000 gold." Fan Zhongyan wrote of the travelers on the river, who loved the perch's flavor so fine, "You can't cook perch anytime, anywhere, but you can always pull out Fuyao perch slices to savor its deliciousness with the poet." Bai Juyi once sent sesame cakes to young Wanli, saying, "These cakes mimic the capital's style, freshly baked, crispy and fragrant." Even while enjoying a sesame cake, Bai Juyi remembered his friend. "If you had one, who would you send it to?" That day, I hit my stride, and the more I spoke, the more exhilarating it became. The goods in the livestream sold out in no time. When the back-end settlement showed I had delivered the best performance in the company's history, my heart was pounding so hard it felt like falling in love all over again. The entire company was buzzing with excitement. I was thrilled not only for setting a new sales record but also for finally clearing my name. Our video editor wasted no time either, quickly cutting together clips from my live stream to keep the momentum going and pull in another wave of followers. Some busybodies even went so far as to compare my livestream shopping videos with Jiyu Xiaohan's. My style is refined and elegant, with poetic charm. Hers is just frantic screaming that leaves her voice hoarse. Many people questioned Shen Yuan's judgment, wondering why he would choose such a tacky woman. I know it's not good to put others down to lift yourself up, but I couldn't help feeling a swell of vanity. The company gave me a few days off to rest up, but I wanted to press my advantage, so I teamed up with another young woman from the company to do a livestream sales event. Hoping to capitalize on the current buzz and solidify our fanbase, if we can build up the reputation of our livestream channel, we'll save on future sales commission fees, and it'll be much easier to manage our own platform. Jiyu Xiaohan, however, wasn't so fortunate. While I was live streaming to sell products and clear my name, she thought she had it in the bag and rushed to the hospital for an abortion. By the time the procedure was over, her phone was flooded with countless hateful messages. That's when she panicked. In a frantic hurry, she started a video live stream from the hospital to show everyone how pitiful she was. Unfortunately, this time the people flooding into the live stream were all there to berate her. She hastily ended her live stream after just 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Lu Lin, holding up her ID card, began to expose how Jiyu Xiaohan had swindled her out of her goods and embezzled 300,000 yuan from her. More people who had been scammed by Jiyu Xiaohan in the past also started holding up their ID cards to denounce her. When a building is about to collapse, everyone gives it a push. In an instant, Jiyu Xiaohan became a public enemy, a rat scurrying in the street that everyone wants to beat. The matter was ultimately resolved with police intervention. Jiyu Xiaohan was invited to the police station the moment he was discharged from the hospital. Shen Yuan was absolutely furious. He called me from a new number and immediately started interrogating me. "You wanted money, I gave you money. You wanted a house, I gave you a house. Why are you still trying to destroy me completely? Don't you know, she's carrying my only child, probably to make me feel guilty." He even sent a photo of himself looking utterly frail after surgery. I took a closer look and couldn't help but sigh with a heavy heart. Although Shen Yuan was a man, he was actually quite vain about his appearance. He was meticulous about his image, always keeping himself clean, fresh and eternally boyish. But now, in the photo, his hair was shaved off, his face was deathly pale, and he looked utterly frail. In just a short time, he wasted away to a skeleton, his entire being radiating a heavy, deathly aura. While the cure rate for stomach cancer can be high, it's often discovered at an advanced stage. Even with surgery, the 5-year survival rate can be as low as 20%. Whether he'll be one of the lucky ones, no one can say, but if he thinks posting a few pitiful photos will make me feel guilty, he's sorely mistaken. How could I possibly show mercy to my enemy? I said coolly, "Shen Yuan, you should have seen this day coming when you indulged Jiyu Xiaohan in smearing my name. You simply don't understand. Jiyu Xiaohan never intended to keep your child. She was afraid that if she got rid of the baby, your family would never let her off the hook. That's why she blew the whole thing up. To seize the moral high ground for herself, once she gains the moral high ground, she won't hesitate to get an abortion, and you're the one enabling her, thinking you can negotiate with a fox. You're so naive, you're the one to blame for all this. You've never understood women, yet you still tried to have your cake and eat it too. You deserve this. Shen Yuan fell silent for a long time, then hung up the phone. He never called again after that. Not only did Jiyu Xiaohan lose all the money she had earned in recent years to her creditors, but she also ended up in prison for fraud. She filed for divorce from inside the prison. Shen Yuan and his parents despised her so much that they deliberately dragged out the divorce proceedings, insisting that if she wanted a divorce, she must first repay all the money she had swindled from Shen Yuan. Their squabbles, that whole dog-eat-dog mess, have nothing to do with me anymore. 2 years later, Shen Yuan succumbed to the spreading cancer and passed away. A friend sent me the location of his grave. I brought a bouquet of flowers. Standing before the tombstone, gazing at Shen Yuan's photo, I was overcome with a flood of emotions. He had chosen a picture from his university days. Back then, he was a fine young man, and I was a fine young woman. We met on campus, our hearts filled with the purest affection and the most beautiful hopes for the future. They say that every 7 years, every cell in the human body is replaced, making you a completely different person from who you were 7 years ago. For us, it didn't even take 7 years. In just 6, we became utterly unrecognizable. I suppose it's because we weren't devout enough in our marriage, but in any case, death settles all debts. It's all in the past now. As for Jiyu Xiaohan, after being released from prison, she thought the internet had no memory and tried to get back into the live streaming game. Unfortunately, the moment she went live, she was met with a barrage of insults and long, scathing posts. In the end, she had no choice but to seek a different path, fading away into the crowd. Meanwhile, I kept my head down, focused on my job, got promoted, and built a decent reputation through my side hustle. Many people say they enjoy my live streaming sales style. Even if they don't buy anything, they're happy just to listen to me chat. Going through this experience, I've come to realize, in the internet age, it's easy to become famous, and it's just as easy to get into trouble. The most important thing is not to try to take advantage of anyone, but to always stay true to yourself, never forget your original intention, and never lose your sincerity. Only then can you truly go the distance. End of text. Story 2. I'm together with the person who once committed campus violence against me. 3 years ago, I earnestly begged Hogan to let me go. He stepped on my hand and looked down on me, calling me a piece of trash. 3 years later, he knelt on the ground, crying and begging me not to leave him. I returned that same sentence to him. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. When I was cornered by the campus bully, I sent the last message to my online dating partner, and then the bully's phone rang. Hogan took out his phone, and the cold hostility in his eyes instantly dissipated, replaced by a gentle look. Darling Natalie, I'm busy. Wait for me for a while. Just after he sent the message, my phone vibrated slightly in an almost imperceptible way. It was exactly the special notification sound of my online dating partner. I looked at him in disbelief. He stood under the street lamp, and the perfect outline of his side face and his delicate and cold features were exactly the same as the Hogan I was familiar with, but the way he held a cigarette in his mouth, looking sinister and fierce, was completely different from the graceful young man in the photo. For a moment, I couldn't tell whether he was my boyfriend or Alice's school bully boyfriend. Hogan, it's this bitch who scratched my bag. She's jealous of me because she can't afford one herself. Poor people always make trouble. Alice pointed at me viciously, her eyes full of pride. I didn't damage Alice's bag. That day, Alice slapped me for no reason. When she tried to hit me again, I dodged, and she fell down because of missing me, scraping her newly bought bag which cost $200,000. She shouted at me to compensate for it. Since I couldn't afford it, she threatened to make me wait, saying that her boyfriend Hogan would deal with me. I knew about Hogan. He was from a wealthy family, and his family's business was big. It was said that he had some connections in the underworld. He was ruthless in fights, cold-blooded, and not afraid of death. People were afraid of him and called him the devil. But I couldn't imagine that my well-behaved and kind online dating partner was actually the same person as the devilish school bully. Hogan stood up and walked towards me step by step. The warm yellow light shone on him. But his eyes were icy cold without a trace of warmth. His tall figure loomed over me. I instinctively clenched my fingers, and then heard him speak indifferently. Two choices: either compensate or kneel down and apologize. His indifferent and disdainful attitude was completely different from the gentle and affectionate Hogan on the phone. I couldn't tell what I felt in my heart. At that moment, it seemed that my mind went blank. Defying the odds, I looked at him and said, "Do you believe that I didn't damage her bag?" Hogan stared at me for a while, and then suddenly sneered disdainfully. Unappreciative, he turned around, his voice full of impatience. "Then teach her a lesson." The blood in my body instantly froze, and my ears seemed to go deaf. His lackeys forced me to kneel down, slapped me frantically, pulled at my clothes, and kicked my stomach. I was in so much pain that I couldn't even cry out. Hogan leaned against the nearby wall as if it had nothing to do with him, staring at the phone screen with a gentle smile, as if waiting for someone's message. I curled up into a ball and endured the beatings. I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. The consequence of being beaten by several adult men was that I couldn't get up for a long time. Two of my teeth were knocked out, and the blood I spat stained my collar red. I lay on the ground like a dead fish for a full 3 hours before I had the strength to get up and go home. I didn't dare to tell my parents about my injuries. They were honest rural people. Even though they worked hard in City A, they could only barely make a living. Come to think of it, I was bullied just because I was from the countryside. Their words like country bumpkin, poor and despicable thing, even if you were sold, you couldn't afford to compensate, stabbed at my heart. Since then, I've known that the poor don't deserve dignity and can only be trampled into the mud. I secretly applied medicine by myself. It really hurt. My phone kept ringing with the special notification sound. All messages from my dear Hogan. "Baby Natalie, have you got home? It's about time you should be home. Why haven't you replied yet?" Did Hogan do something to make baby angry? Obviously, it was still a loving and gentle tone, but I felt a bit of disgust. I typed line after line of words, but deleted them all repeatedly. In the end, I just replied to him, "Did you just go to the library tonight?" There was a momentary pause on his side, and he quickly replied, "Yeah, I studied hard today too." As if to prove it, he also sent a photo taken in the library. The young man in the photo was wearing a white shirt, with a sunny smile on his face. Standing beside the bookshelf, he looked gentle and refined, but all of this was a false illusion. I was glad that I hadn't shown him my photo and that he hadn't recognized me, which gave me the opportunity to see the real him. Afraid that missing classes would make me fall behind in my studies, I didn't dare to ask for leave. After the morning self-study class ended, I was dragged to the girls' restroom by Alice. She led a group of girls and cornered me at the sink. "Alice, how dare you still come to school? TSK, wasn't the beating last night hard enough? Haha, maybe she's thick-skinned. She's so rustic and ugly. If she wasn't so thick-skinned, she would have died long ago. No wonder her name is Alice. Summer pig. She's as thick-skinned and rough as a pig." The girls beside her said all kinds of insulting and dirty words. A ladle of sewage from the toilet was poured over my head, flowing from my hair to my collar. The stinky and damp feeling made me want to vomit. TSK, Alice, you're really as ugly and dirty as a pig." She grabbed my hair and slapped me twice. Then she washed her hands, feeling they were dirty, and then walked out of the restroom. I slid down the wall of the restroom and slumped on the ground, burying my face in my knees and trying to hold back my tears. Alice locked me in the restroom for the whole morning. It wasn't until school was over at noon that someone let me out. I thought it should be over like this. But Alice didn't stop there. In the following days, my desk was always messed up by them, and my homework always disappeared inexplicably. After several times, the teacher no longer believed me. Alice haunted every corner where I appeared, taking pleasure in embarrassing me. During the evening self-study, I studied in the library for a long time before preparing to go home, just to avoid Alice. However, Alice didn't leave. She led a group of people and blocked me at the door. She knocked over my cup. With a loud snap, all the coffee that I used to refresh myself splashed onto my legs. The newly changed white pants were immediately stained. I looked at her angrily. Just as I was about to speak, I saw Hogan casting a warning look at me. Hogan was standing beside her, with a cigarette in his mouth and a look of disdain in his eyes. "TSK, Alice, are you not convinced?" Alice pushed me to the ground. I just happened to fall sitting on the coffee stain that had been knocked over on the ground. The smell mixed with the earthy smell made me feel nauseous. Her lackeys burst into laughter when they saw this scene, mocking me as a pig that had rolled in swill. They even forced me to drink the coffee juice on the ground. When my face was only a few centimeters away from the ground, the librarian who came to lock the door saw this scene. "What are you all doing?" Only then did Alice and one of her lackeys let go of me. They smiled playfully at the librarian and said, "We're playing truth or dare with Alice." Yeah, Alice lost and was going to challenge herself to drink the coffee on the ground. "No, it's not like that." I quickly shook my head and looked at the librarian pleadingly. "Teacher, they forced me." The librarian frowned, just as he was about to speak. Alice immediately smiled obsequiously and said, "Teacher, ignore her. She's just saying that to avoid punishment." "Alice, don't be a sore loser. If you lose, you lose. Why are you complaining to the teacher?" Alice deliberately distorted the truth and shifted all the blame onto me. Her lackeys also chimed in beside her. "Yeah, Alice, you're being too petty. It's just a game. You don't have to report it to the teacher just because you don't want to be punished." There were so many of them and they all had the same story. Sure enough, the librarian believed them. He looked at me with a straight face and then said to Alice, "All right, just study hard at school. Don't do these useless things." The librarian left. Obviously, he didn't want to get involved in this matter. Alice looked down at me from above and said triumphantly, "Alice, see, they're all on my side. No one will believe you. It's no use for you to report to the teacher. I have 100 ways to avoid punishment, but you're not so lucky." My heart was like dead ashes, and I didn't even hear what they said later. I sat at the door for a long time, until the lights on campus went out. It wasn't until the patrolling security guard kept calling my name that I realized I had been sitting on the cold ground full of coffee juice, lost in thought for a long time. I went home in a daze. My mother was slamming the dishwashing basin. "You're already so old but you don't know how to pay attention to hygiene. You got your clothes so dirty, and I don't have money to buy you new clothes. You don't study hard but instead take the wrong path of learning to draw. It costs twice as much to support you. What a sin. Why can't you be like your cousin in the countryside? She's diligent and sensible." I was already used to my mother's complaints and had long been numb. But today I had an urge to cry. I ignored her and locked myself in the room directly. My phone kept ringing. It was Hogan sending me messages. "Natalie, have you finished the evening self-study? Reply to me quickly. Baby, did I do something wrong? You've been so cold these 2 days. Don't ignore me." I'll be sad. Would he be sad? Yeah, he would be sad. Although Hogan and I were only in an online relationship, I knew very well how much he couldn't live without me. He wanted to chat with me around the clock. He lacked love since he was a child and was insecure. The problems in his original family shrouded his childhood in gloom. Since his mother passed away, he had become dark and negative. I happened to appear at that time and accompanied him through those difficult days. Since then, he was like a puppy showing its belly, offering his whole heart to me. He once said, "Baby, you're the only light in my life. Baby, I'm getting better for you. I'm studying hard, eating properly, and becoming the graceful young man you like. Baby, I love you the most. Will you stay with me always?" Thinking of what he said and recalling the scene of him helping Alice bully me, my fingertips were trembling. "Hogan, what would you do if someone bullied you?" I asked him. "Of course. I'd get revenge and make them suffer." Why did Natalie suddenly ask this? "Is someone bullying you? Who is it?" "I'll avenge you." "It's nothing. There's no need." "Hogan, I have a way to make those who bullied me suffer." In the art class, Alice passed by my desk, knocked over my paint bucket, and tore up my painting. "Alice, do you think someone as poor and lowly as you deserves to learn to draw? Learning art is so expensive. Can your family afford it?" She left with her fingers raised triumphantly. I silently cleaned up the paint. Half of the paint had spilled and it was almost empty. The canvas and other tools were also stained with paint. I sealed the remaining paint and then took the dirty paintbrushes to the restroom and washed the paint off little by little. I felt that there was a gaze constantly fixed on me. I looked back and it was Hogan. He leaned against the wall, with a cigarette in his mouth. His eyes looking at me were full of mockery and disdain, as if he was looking at a clown. I clenched the paintbrush tightly and saw that he had no intention of leaving. When I was about to go out of the restroom, he blocked me in the corner. "Go and apologize to Alice tomorrow." His tone was beyond doubt, and his eyes were full of threats. But I'm not wrong, I didn't damage her bag. I mustered up the courage to meet his gaze. The next second, the burning cigarette butt was directly pressed onto my arm. "Stop talking that useless crap. It's just a $200,000 bag, just an apology. Don't be ungrateful, I don't have much patience. If you don't apologize, you know the consequences." Hogan left, I covered the burned area, and big tears fell down. When I got home in the evening, my mother kept nagging. She advised me to give up learning art. She said that a family like ours couldn't afford my dream. In the end, my father told her to stop talking so much. Before going to bed, my father came to me and told me to just focus on studying hard. The family would definitely support me in learning art. Looking at my father's white hair, although he wasn't very old, and his artificial eye that was difficult to use, I felt very sad. When my father was a child, he was blinded in one eye by a naughty child in the same village. He had to put in an artificial eye. Since then, it would be sour and uncomfortable on rainy or cloudy days or when he was overworked. Even so, he still had to bear the burden of the family. "Father, I will work part-time to support myself. Believe me, I can earn money soon." My father shook his head gratifyingly and said that I didn't need to worry. Then he asked me, "You haven't been in a good state these 2 days. Did something happen at school?" I shook my head. He said, "If you're being bullied, you must tell us at home." I nodded and told him not to worry. They were already working so hard and shouldn't have to worry about me. Over the years, I've grown up stubbornly and alone. I always have my own way to solve problems. Alice thought I was a soft persimmon that could be kneaded at will, but just because I'm poor, should I swallow my anger after being bullied? When Alice demanded $200,000 from me, I got the video of her falling and scraping her bag by herself at that time. After all, a poor person like me is most afraid of being falsely accused. I kept the scars in the alley and the toilet as well as some evidence. And I also recorded the surveillance footage at the entrance of the library. I haven't replied much to Hogan these days. He started bombarding me with messages, and there are already more than 99 unread messages. I clicked on them and read them one by one. "Natalie, what are you busy with? You're so busy that you're ignoring Hogan." "Natalie, did I do something wrong?" "Sorry, baby, if I did something wrong, please tell me. I'll change it. Don't ignore me." "Natalie, are you going to leave me?" After reading the last message, I knew that Hogan was panicking. "Hogan, it turns out that you can really be sad. Don't worry, the real thing that will make you sad is yet to come." Before I finished reading the messages, Hogan started bombarding me with phone calls. I didn't answer but replied with a message instead. "I'm not leaving Hogan." Really, Hogan obviously didn't believe it. He lacked a great deal of security. Then, "Natalie, promise me you won't ignore me in the future." "Okay." My heart will ache. My fingertips trembled. After a moment of silence, I replied, "Okay." Hogan's tone became cheerful again. "Natalie is the best. Natalie, I want to see you as soon as possible. Can I come to find you?" Hogan and I agreed to meet after the college entrance examination. But now he clearly can't wait. Perhaps he has sensed that I'm getting farther and farther away from him. "Natalie, you said you would always stay with me. You won't break your promise, right?" I could hear the caution and the feeling of being afraid of losing in his tone. A bit of sourness welled up in my heart. I had already made up my mind to make him sad, but I was actually wavering a little. I asked him, "Hogan, you said you would gradually become a better person for me, right?" "Yeah, Natalie. I'm trying my best," he replied very firmly. It was as if the person who oppressed, bullied, and resorted to violence casually wasn't him. He really had two different sides. "Then you must be a just and kind person. At least, you can't do bad things." I replied to him, "Hogan, I've given you a chance. You have to keep your word." Alice's persecution of me hadn't ended yet. In order to make me apologize, she began to use public opinion. She posted the matter of me damaging her bag on the campus forum. In an instant, she changed from the perpetrator to the victim. She pretended to be pitiful and wronged, saying that she just wanted an apology from me. Standing on the side of justice, she accused me. saying that since I was poor, I shouldn't covet other people's luxury goods. My vanity would only cause a burden on my family. She said that I was not sensible and didn't know how to understand my parents. Her kindness and justice won the sympathy of everyone. All of a sudden, there were voices scolding me on the internet. If you're poor, don't cause trouble. This is a case of if you can't get it, then destroy it. So vicious. This Alice really disgusts me. Yeah, the bitch should get out of school. I heard that Alice's boyfriend Hogan beat her up a few days ago. Good for him. Getting beaten once is worth $200,000. I'd be willing to take a beating too. Alice must apologize. Under the post where the condemnation of me was the most intense, I uploaded the video of Alice falling down by herself, scratching her own bag, and wrongly accusing me. The people who were scolding me fell silent instantly. I had originally planned to post this video today. Alice's exposure was exactly what I wanted, giving me a chance to slap her in the face. After posting these, I went to school feeling relieved. Many classmates comforted me, and some even apologized to me. Sorry, Alice, I insulted you on the forum without figuring out the situation. I didn't expect that you were framed. The scolding on the forum also turned towards Alice. There were always more just people. Alice suddenly became the target of public criticism, and almost everyone was condemning her. She lost all her face completely. I knew she wouldn't let it go easily. However, this time, would Hogan still help her? He promised me that he would be a kind and just person and that he wouldn't do bad things anymore. I wasn't sure if he could keep his promise. When Hogan blocked me in the alley with a group of people again, I got the answer. Alice stood beside Hogan, pointing at me and shouting angrily, "Alice, you're courting death, aren't you? How dare you plot against me, you little bitch." I ignored her, who was acting fiercely, and instead focused my gaze on Hogan. "Hogan, you've seen the video online, right? I'm innocent. I was afraid that he didn't know, and I was afraid that he was deceived by Alice. I had specifically pushed that video to him before to ensure that he would see it. He didn't look at me. He casually threw away the cigarette butt and said indifferently, 'So what if I saw it? I only know that you didn't do as I told you.'" The cold words coming out of his mouth were like thorns, piercing deeply into my heart. I laughed, almost laughing out tears. I shouldn't have had any expectations of him. Hogan was never the sunny young man beside the bookshelf. He had always been dark, selfish, and cold-blooded. How could I have forgotten that? He said he had changed for the better, but that was just an illusion he created for me. How could I have taken it seriously? "Alice, you still think Hogan will help you? You're dreaming. Hogan, teach this bitch a good lesson for me." I didn't know who pushed me, and I fell directly to the ground. Fists and kicks rained down. It hurt a lot, but I was also prepared to fight back. I took 2 spare mobile phones to record the audio and video, and sent them out as soon as they were recorded. These people were beating me and scolding me. However, I didn't expect that they would deliberately step on my hands. "Your hands are for painting, right? What a pity. Even if you get into college, your family can't afford it. How about we cripple your hands?" Ha ha ha. No, painting is my dream. It has always been my dream. At this moment, I was really panicked. I pleaded and shouted Hogan's name. "Hogan, let me go. Please let me go." Hogan turned around. He glanced at me with a disdainful look, as if looking at trash. In an instant, I didn't know who stepped on my hand. The fingers are connected to the heart. I was in so much pain that I almost fainted. "Hogan, Hogan." My vision was blurry, and my voice became weak. "You promised me that you would gradually become a better person and turn into the person I like. You promised me that you wouldn't do." Before I could finish speaking, I saw Hogan's face suddenly change drastically. He almost shouted hysterically, "Stop it all." Hogan pushed through the crowd like a madman and came up to me. He squatted down tremblingly and looked at me with bloodshot eyes. "Natalie." Hogan looked at me with a complicated expression. He reached out his hand as if he wanted to touch me, but then he retracted it as if he thought of something. "Natalie, I didn't know it was you. I didn't mean to do it," he explained nervously and anxiously, his eyes full of pain and regret. I looked up and met his pained face. I gave a bitter smile and said, "Hogan, it hurts so much." After forcing myself to say this sentence, I saw Hogan's expression crumble as I expected. He punched the ground beside me and let out a heart-wrenching growl, his eyes as red as blood. "Hogan, we're breaking up. Before I could finish my sentence, he blocked my lips with his finger and stepped back. It seemed that he couldn't face it and turned around and ran away directly. I watched him flee in a hurry. What a coward. Can he just pretend nothing happened if he doesn't want to face it? Hogan asked a girl from the same class as me to send me to the hospital. And he secretly followed behind. After the examination in the hospital, the doctor said that my hand was fractured and I couldn't paint anymore. Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. I tried to force a smile and softly said towards the place where Hogan was hiding, "Painting is my dream." I knew Hogan could hear me. Bang! It seemed that something broke. Hogan staggered away. I took out my phone and sent Hogan a message saying we're breaking up, and then blocked all his contact information. Goodbye. Hogan. The companionship that lasted nearly 5 years from the second year of junior high school to the third year of senior high school ended here. From now on, you're no longer my Hogan, you're Alice's boyfriend, the school bully Hogan, and the executioner who made it impossible for me to paint anymore. After coming out of the hospital, I packed up the painting tools from school. I shouldn't have had such delusions. I shouldn't have been disobedient. I shouldn't have added to the burden on my family. I gave up painting. Misfortunes never come singly. On that day, my father had a car accident. It turned out that he knew I was being bullied and was going to the police station with the evidence when he was hit by a car on the way. When he was brought back, his whole body was covered in blood, and the only eye that could be used was also full of blood. He was blind, completely blind, and could no longer see this beautiful and colorful world. It's all my fault. It's all because of me. I'm the one who hurt my father. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Mom and Dad. I shouldn't have been disobedient, and I shouldn't have insisted on learning to paint. Alice targeted me at the beginning probably because my painting grades were better than hers and I took her first place. If I hadn't learned to paint, I wouldn't have been bullied by her, and my father wouldn't have had a car accident on the way to report the bullying for me. I decided to study finance. I want to study finance to make money because this world only gives justice to the rich. After changing from an art student to an ordinary student, I studied desperately. I have to work harder than others to catch up with them in terms of grades. I have to work several times harder to be admitted to a top-ranked university's finance major as an ordinary student. Hogan disappeared for a week and then came to school to find me. At that time, I was walking out of the library. And he blocked my way. "Natalie, can we not break up?" His voice was hoarse and desolate, and he had lost a lot of weight. He was completely different from the arrogant and unruly Hogan before. "If I don't agree, are you going to knock over my cup again like before and make me drink the coffee on the ground? Or burn my arm with a cigarette butt?" Hogan's face changed drastically, and he couldn't say anything for a long time. I walked around him and left directly. After I got home, Hogan added me on a secondary account. This was already the 99th time he added me on a secondary account. I was annoyed and accepted his friend request, hoping he would stop bothering me. Before I could finish typing, Hogan bombarded me with messages. "Natalie, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. Natalie, please give me another chance, just one chance. Okay, you know I can't live without you. Please don't leave me, I can change anything." I re-edited the text and sent it to him. "Hogan, stop being despicable, stop bothering me, don't make me look down on you." After sending the messages, I blocked his secondary account directly. The next time I saw Hogan was during the public physical education class the next day. Hogan waited for me on the playground for the whole afternoon. He asked a girl who was familiar with me to call me out. When I saw him, he was smoking a cigarette. As soon as he saw me coming, he extinguished the cigarette immediately. "Natalie." As soon as he opened his mouth, his voice was extremely hoarse, as if his throat had been burned by boiling water. "If you have something to say it, Natalie. What do I have to do for you to forgive me?" He raised his eyes to look at me, and his dark eyes were filled with pain. It seemed that if I didn't forgive him, he couldn't live on. I sneered and corrected him. "Hogan, why are you pretending to be so affectionate?" Hogan looked at me with a stunned and puzzled expression. I smiled sarcastically and said, "You still have Alice." "No, it's not like that, Natalie. I can explain," Hogan said eagerly. "Alice is a friend of my cousin. My cousin asked me to take care of her before she went abroad. I have no other relationship with her. I've never had anyone else except you." His tone was sincere and anxious, as if he was afraid that I wouldn't believe him, seeing that he seemed to want to take out his heart for me to see. I just thought it was ridiculous and laughed until tears came out. But, Hogan, you've made my life miserable for Alice's sake. After the first art class, Alice started to make things difficult for me. She spoke ill of me behind my back, calling me poor and ugly. She put glue on my chair, deliberately destroyed my homework. Later, she even framed me, humiliated me, and ruined my hand. Hogan sided with Alice and bullied me together with her. The relationship between him and Alice didn't matter to me. I only knew that he had abetted the Avildor and destroyed my dream. Natalie. Hogan's face turned ashen, and his lips were trembling. After a moment, he clenched his fists tightly, as if he had made a decision. I'll make Alice pay the price. I shook my head. I had already made Alice pay the price. I didn't need Hogan to do anything for me. It would be best if he felt guilty and remorseful towards me forever. How the hell did you seduce Hogan? I was having lunch when Alice walked over, angry and furious. Her face was distorted, and she pointed at me arrogantly. Hogan got me expelled from school for you. You bitch. Do you know that? I paused slightly with the chopsticks in my hand. Expelled? What was Hogan doing? Was he trying to take revenge for me? I just found it ironic, seeing that I didn't say anything. Alice slammed the table. Alice, you bitch, talk to me, as she spoke. She knocked on the table excitedly, looking like a crazy woman. I looked up and smiled at her gently. Alice, don't you think you deserve to be expelled? She had bullied me, oppressed other classmates, and even done things that violated laws and disciplines. She should have been expelled a long time ago. She had just been relying on her family's wealth and background to act recklessly. And what was the result? Hogan had also used his money and background to crush her, using violence to fight violence. Those who humiliate others will always be humiliated by others. With Hogan's intervention, no other school would accept Alice anymore. Alice, do you know that I'm ruined? I can't go to college, and my life is completely destroyed. Are you happy now? Alice's eyes were bloodshot, and she glared at me angrily. There was a fire of jealousy and unwillingness burning in her eyes. As if she wanted to burn me to death, I ignored her and continued eating my meal. Alice angrily snatched my rice bowl. The soup in the bowl was still steaming, and she raised her hand to splash it on me. Try to move even a bit and see what happens. Hogan walked in front of her from behind me, looking gloomy and angry, like an Azura from the cold hell. Alice's hand trembled, and the soup bowl fell directly to the ground. Natalie, are you okay? Hogan protected me and asked eagerly. I took 2 steps back and didn't say a word, but Alice became even angrier. Hogan, why are you siding with this bitch? What on earth does she have that's better than me? You actually got me expelled from school for her. Hogan frowned. Drag her away. His lackey beside him immediately went to pull Alice upon receiving the order. Alice clung to the table and refused to let go. I'm not leaving. What's wrong with me that I'm not as good as this bitch, Hogan? You can't treat me like this for that bitch. You can't. Alice, I won't let you off. Smack. Hogan severely hit Alice's hand that was gripping the table with the bowl, shattering the bowl directly. Alice's hand was covered in blood. Ah! Alice let out a sharp and ear-piercing scream like a pig being slaughtered. Alice, try saying the word bitch again. Hogan glared at her with a murderous look. Drag her away now. Alice was dragged away while crying and shouting. Her arrogance was gone. And she was crying and begging for mercy. Hogan didn't show any mercy. This farce played out in the cafeteria and was witnessed by hundreds of students. Alice lost all her face. After Alice disappeared, Hogan got another serving of food and placed it in front of me. Natalie, I'm sorry. I won't let her hurt you again. I lowered my head, and my eyes were a bit red. When I looked up at him, I held back my tears. Hogan, it's too late. Hogan was a bit flustered. Natalie, don't be like this. I've already punished Alice. If you're still not satisfied, I can continue to suppress her. Seeing him explaining on his own, I couldn't help but laugh again. But you also bullied me. Pain gradually appeared in Hogan's eyes. He pursed his lips tightly and finally opened his mouth slightly. I understand. His tone was resolute, with a hint of determination. Come to the basketball court at this time tomorrow. I'll make you feel better. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left. As if he was afraid of hearing my refusal, I smiled sarcastically, looking at Hogan's hasty back. I felt a trace of pleasure from revenge. Natalie, I'll make you feel better. Be sure to come tomorrow. Hogan sent me messages on a secondary account again. I blocked him directly and then turned off my phone. I took out the review materials I borrowed from the library and started studying. From daytime until 1 a.m. Knock, knock. The door of the room was knocked on. My father, leaning on a crutch, groped his way in. He was being cautious and tentatively walking forward. Seeing this, my nose felt sour. I quickly covered my lips with my hand to keep myself from crying out. Natalie, don't stay up late. Study tomorrow. Your health is important. My father walked up to me and carefully placed a stack of books in front of me. Father bought a set of exercise books. I hope it can help you, by the dim light of the desk lamp. I saw that stack of review materials for Qing University that I had always wanted but didn't buy because it was too expensive. Tears welled up in my eyes and I couldn't hold them back anymore. I cried softly, "Father, go and return it." This set of materials was very expensive, enough to cover my 1 month food expenses. Father must have saved the money for medicine to buy these materials. Silly child. Father gently hugged my head. Father has money. They gave a compensation of $100,000. Father won't sue anymore. I cried even louder. My father's eyes were damaged in the car accident, but the drunk driver who caused the accident could still roam freely just because he had money. For a family like ours, could we afford to fight a lawsuit? With the $100,000, my father could get treatment, and it could solve the living problems of our family. $100,000 was really valuable. After accepting the compensation, my father became much older. My mother also became silent and took on 2 more part-time jobs, and I stayed up all night. I swore to become a wealthy person and make those who bullied us pay the price. Hogan went to the basketball court as promised. He asked his brothers to throw basketballs at him hard. His brothers didn't dare to use too much force, so he became ruthless himself and hit his own head with the basketball again and again until his head was bleeding. A classmate came to me and showed me the video of Hogan going crazy on the playground. "Alice, go and see Hogan quickly, he's going to beat himself to death." I watched Hogan in the video who finally couldn't stand up. Feeling no emotion, the classmate urged me, "Hogan won't listen to anyone's advice. If you don't go, someone will die." I went to the basketball court. "Natalie, you finally came." When Hogan saw me, he forced a smile with his bruised lips. "Is this enough to make you feel better?" He held my hand and picked up the ball, then quickly hit his head with it. Bang! Hogan fell down instantly. I gently shook my head. Hogan took out the lighter from his pocket, grabbed my hand, and turned on the fire. He pressed the blazing flame directly against his arm. "How about this?" Hogan endured the intense pain, and sweat began to form on his forehead. The smell of burning was very strong. My hand trembled, and the lighter fell to the ground immediately. "Can you forgive me now, Natalie?" I was very calm. "Hogan, I gave you a chance." Hogan was in great pain. "Natalie, I was wrong. I'll change. I promised you to be a kind person. I will never do bad things again. I won't fight anymore, and I won't bully others. I'll change everything. Please don't leave me." His tone was sobbing, as if he would burst into tears the next second. I smiled. "Hogan, it's useless. Hogan, no matter how much you try to make up for it, you can't change the fact that you made it impossible for me to paint anymore and indirectly caused my father to go completely blind. From now on, there will only be hatred between us. I heard that my little brother risked his life for you. TSK. I didn't expect him to end up like this." When Hogan's stepbrother Michael found me, the tablet in his hand was playing the video of Hogan hurting himself. There was a smug smile on his face. "What do you want from me?" I was very vigilant. "I think we might be able to cooperate." "Why should I cooperate with you?" "Because we have a common enemy." He took out a stack of materials and handed them to me. I was very surprised after reading them. In the following days, I still studied desperately and finally got into my dream university, choosing the finance major. On the day of filling out the college application, Hogan found me. "Natalie, why don't you study painting anymore? Don't be stubborn." "Okay, you can still paint. I can help you with other things." I curled my lips sarcastically. "Hogan, you're the one who ruined my hand." Hogan was stunned and couldn't say anything. Later, he came to persuade me again, but he still couldn't change my decision. A month before the start of the semester, I went to City S and rented a house near the school. Unexpectedly, Hogan chased after me and rented a house next door to mine. It was an old residential area with a very poor environment. I could see the disgust and discomfort in Hogan's eyes, but he still insisted on living here every day. Natalie, I still can't live without you. What should I do? Hogan started pestering me, even following me to school. He would go to my class to sit in on the lessons every day, even though I ignored him. He would still give me snacks and drinks on his own and arrange roses under my teaching building. My classmates were envious of me, saying that I had such a handsome and wealthy person sincerely pursuing me and advising me to think carefully. I didn't explain, but later, it turned into them scolding me for being ungrateful and a pretentious bitch. When I found Hogan, he was very happy. Natalie, you're here. I looked at him with disgust. Hogan, stop pestering me. Don't affect my life anymore. The color drained from his face little by little. Natalie, I turned around and left, and he followed me. I took a step, and he took a step. I turned down a small path, and he also turned down the small path. I turned around irritably. Hogan, are you done? I suddenly noticed that his face was pale, and there was a knife stuck in his hand, piercing through the back of his hand directly. Blood was dripping down. I was completely stunned. Natalie, is this enough to pay off what I owe you? Hogan was in so much pain that cold sweat was breaking out, but he begged me desperately. Natalie, please have pity on me and give me another chance. I smiled. Hogan, when I begged you not to ruin my hand, did you have pity on me? What did you say at that time? You said that my family was poor and that even if I painted well, they couldn't afford to support me. You said, Natalie, stop talking. He looked at me in pain. Let me pay you back slowly. Let me pay you back with my whole life. Okay, I ignored him and walked away quickly. I vaguely heard him say, how much pain must she have been in at that time? I can't even bear this pain. How much pain must she have been in at that time? Have you considered it? Do you want to cooperate with me? Michael sent me a message again. Over the past year, Michael had been persistent in wanting to cooperate with me. He wanted to destroy Hogan and bring down his family. His father forced his mother and made his father die in an accident. His mother suffered from severe depression because of this and committed suicide after giving birth to him. Over the years, his father had ignored him. Michael had endured a lot of contempt and humiliation in his family and grew up with great difficulty. Later, his father married Hogan's mother and gave birth to Hogan, completely forgetting about Michael. Michael hated his father and everyone in his family. Alice, your father is relatively lucky. At least he wasn't killed in the accident. Michael was probably trying to stir up my hatred. I tightly clenched my fingers and finally made my decision. Okay, I'll cooperate with you. Natalie, the trees I planted for you 3 years ago are in bloom. Let's go and see them together. We agreed that no matter what happened, we would go to see the flowers together every year when they were in bloom. Do you remember? In the evening, Hogan sent me messages again, unilaterally not agreeing to the breakup. Natalie, the year my mother died. You promised me that you would always stay with me. Don't leave me, please. His words reminded me that his childhood was also unfortunate. After his parents got married, his father didn't change his habit of fooling around with women and often didn't go home. Hogan only had his mother. The death of his mother was a heavy blow to him. At that time, I promised that I would always stay with him. It's a pity. Just as I was about to reply to the message, Hogan sent me a voice call. I answered it this time. After thinking for a while, I said, okay. Hogan was very excited and didn't sleep all night, sending me all kinds of messages. 3 years ago, Hogan planted a field of crabapple trees for me in the garden on the back hill of his house. Now they were in full bloom. Our first official date was here. He carefully took my hand, and this time I didn't pull away. He was overjoyed and beamed with happiness. Natalie, shall we come back to see the flowers together at this time every year in the future? I smiled but didn't say anything, and he didn't dare to force me. Hogan became a very considerate boyfriend. He gave me gifts every day, accompanied me shopping and dining gently and patiently. When he saw children on the street, he even told me that he wanted a daughter. He would also help me with my studies and provide me with the best resources. He was never stingy with me. Even so, I would still lose my temper and bring up the past. Hogan would admit his mistakes and condemn himself over and over again, not even daring to speak loudly, because whenever I was unhappy, he would be heartbroken. In my junior year of college, a senior fell for Hogan and tried to cause trouble for me. Hogan directly told her to get lost in front of her. Hogan, you really attract women. There was Alice in the past, and now there were senior and junior female students. Hogan quickly swore that he wouldn't talk to other women again. After that, he really deliberately kept a distance from other girls. I told him that he didn't need to be so overly cautious, and he said, Natalie, I only love you. Having you in my life is enough for me. You will always love me too, right? He was getting more and more deeply involved, revolving around me every day and doing everything he could to treat me well. I suddenly felt bored. It was time to end it. During the 2 years I was with him, I collected a lot of evidence of his father's crimes. With Michael's help, we successfully got his father sent to prison. Michael had avenged his hatred. After learning the truth, Hogan was really angry. There were red bloodshot eyes all around the corners of his eyes. And he asked me fiercely, why did you do this? Was I not good enough for you? He punched the wall behind me. Alice, you've never forgiven me, and you've never been with me sincerely, have you? Why are you so heartless to me? Hogan, your father deserved what he got. I said with a smile as I admired his collapsing expression. I had avenged my hatred as well. No, tell me exactly why. He looked at me with bloodshot eyes, as if he just wanted an answer. I slowly opened my mouth. The day my hand was ruined by you all, my father had a car accident. He wanted to call the police and seek justice for me, and your father, in order to stop him, hired a car to hit him. Hogan was also lucky. He waited until his father turned over a new leaf and received his father's indulgence and doting. But he had harmed my father. Hogan, my father will never be able to see colors again, and I will never forgive you. The blood in my body instantly froze, and my ears seemed to go deaf. After hearing my words, Hogan slumped down and squatted on the ground dejectedly. Natalie, I can never pay off what I owe you in this lifetime. What should I do? What on earth should I do? Later, I still studied hard and got the quota for studying abroad and being recommended for postgraduate studies. After his father went to prison, the shareholders of the G Corporation withdrew their shares, and things were in a complete mess. I was busy preparing to go abroad, and he was busy dealing with the company. We completely became strangers to each other. Before I left, he rushed to the airport and begged me to stay. 3 years ago, I earnestly begged Hogan to let me go, and he stepped on my hand and looked down on me, calling me a piece of trash. Now the situation had reversed. Looking at him kneeling and begging me, so humble that he was in the dust, I looked at him with the same eyes as I would look at trash. After I went abroad, I blocked him again. And I didn't hear any news about him for the next few years. Once, his friend got in touch with me and said that he had been drinking heavily every day, being decadent and indulgent since I left, and asked me to persuade him. After thinking about it, I logged into the QQ account that I hadn't logged into for 3 years and found his profile picture. He was still in my only group. The profile picture was still the couple profile picture we used to have, and the name was also a couple name. I hadn't logged into this account since I broke up with Hogan. He had accompanied me through the long days of my youth. I had also loved him sincerely and passionately. Just because I had loved him so much, my hatred for him was even more thorough. I tried to make a voice call to him. I thought it wouldn't get through, but unexpectedly, he answered it quickly. He seemed incredulous. Natalie, I responded to him indifferently, but he was very happy. Holding the phone, he said he missed me, that he read our chat records every day, and that he was waiting for me to come back every day. He said he still hadn't given up. Natalie, can you come back when the crabapple flowers bloom this year? You promised me that no matter what happened, we would come here together when the flowers bloomed. My heart softened for no reason. Hogan, you don't owe me anything anymore. You should stand in the sun and live your own life. I told him to cheer up and not waste time getting himself stuck in the mire. Hogan asked me in an extremely joyful voice, Natalie, if I cheer up and live a good life, will you come back? I fell silent, but he seemed to have heard an imperial decree. Natalie, I will definitely live a good life. I'm waiting for you to come back. Every year after that, when the crabapple flowers bloomed, there was always a figure waiting under the tree.